Mafia. It's a name that always been associated with one thing, storytelling. Not endless side quests, not unheard of pointless collectibles, not a map filled with icons just for the sake of making the game look bigger. Mafia has always been about character, crime, betrayal, and family, and the consequence of getting involved with the wrong people. And Mafia, the old country, take us somewhere we never been before, 1900 Sicily. A brutal world where loyalty can save your life and betrayal can get you killed. But after playing through the game, that's one question I keep coming back to. Does Mafia Old Country actually live up to the name? Or does it feel like a beautiful crime drama that forgot to be a great game? I've been playing through the story, explored its world, experienced the combat, driven its vehicles, and I've been see what this latest Mafia adventure has to offer. So today we are going to break it all down. The story, the characters, the combat, the open world, the graphics, the performance, and the most important, is Mafia the Old Country actually worth your money? Let's get into it. The story follows Enzo Favarra, a young man trying to escape a brutal life and find his place in Sicily's crime underworld. And honestly, this is where Mafia Old Country feels more comfortable. It feels like you are watching a crime movie that you can actually play. The game doesn't need constantly throw explosives at you, keeping you interested. Instead, it focuses on conversations, relationships, tensions, and growing conflict between powerful families. And I really like the approach. The relationship between the character give you the story its weight. Enzo isn't just a character who goes from mission to mission shooting everyone inside. He's someone trying to prove himself, trying to survive, and trying to understand who he can actually trust. And in a world like this, trust is dangerous. One of my favorite things about Mafia the Old Country is the atmosphere. Sicily is just be used as a background. It actually feels like a part of a story. You have got a countryside, small village, dirty roads, old buildings, vineyards, church, crime families, and those huge cinematic locations that make you feel like you have stepped into a new era. The attention to the period detail is one of the game's strongest features, and that's something Mafia has always done particularly well. It makes the world feel believable, but I do have one criticism. The story can sometimes feels like it's a moving at a slower pace that you might expect. If you are coming to this expecting constant action, you might find the opening hours a little slow. Personally, I think the slower pacing works because Mafia is trying to tell a story rather than simply just give you another open world checklist. But I can absolutely understand why some players might want more freedom. And that brings us to something important. This isn't really a traditional open world game, and that's actually one of the most interesting things about it.
Time to eat. You hungry? You have to ask.
Keep moving.
Mafia the Old Country gives you a beautiful world to explore, but it isn't trying to compete with games like GTA or Red Dead Redemption when it comes to freedom. This is much more a Fox experience, and honestly I think that's a good thing. Not every game needs to be 100 hours long. Sometimes I just want a game that respects my times. Give me a great story, give me a memorable characters, give me exciting missions. And then, let's finish the experience without having spent another 40 hours clearing question marks off a map. That's what Mafia the Old Country does well. The world is there to support the story. You are traveling through Sicily, seeing different environments, moving between missions, and occasionally taking the time to appreciate what's around you. And visually, this game can look absolutely incredible. There were several moments where I stopped playing simply because I wanted to look at the environment, the lighting, the architecture, the countryside, the weather, the atmosphere. It all comes together extremely well. And when you are riding through the countryside on horseback or driving one of those old vehicles through the streets, there is a real sense of time and place. It's one of the game's biggest strengths. But unfortunately, the world doesn't always give you as much freedom as you might expect. There are moments where you want to explore area more freely, but the game clearly wants you to follow the intent pact. So, if you are looking for a massive sandbox where you can do whatever you want, this probably isn't that game. But if you are looking for a cinematic crime adventure, that's exactly where Mafia Old Country shines.
Now.
Let me show you a thing or two. With that, come on.
First,
Now let's talk about the gameplay, because while the story might be the reason you start playing Mafia, the combat is what keeps you holding the controller. And there are two main sides to combat, guns and close quarter fighting. You have got rifles, shotguns, and some brutally satisfying close range weapons. The gunplay is generally straightforward, it is not trying to be hardcore tactical shooter. Instead, it works alongside the cinematic design of the game. You will move from cover to cover, take down enemies and push forward through the careful design encounters. And when the games get the pacing right, it works incredibly well.
Then, you press your advantage. Got it?
I'm ready.
But the melee combat is probably the more interesting part. Knives and close range encounters give you some fighters much more personal feel. Instead of simply standing behind cover and shoot everything, you sometimes have to get up close and dangerous. And that creates some really tense moments. Stealth also plays a role. Sometimes it's better to stay hidden and quietly take enemies out rather than start a full gunfight. And I appreciate that the game gives you these options. But here's where I think Mafia the Old Country could have gone further. The combat is good, but it doesn't always feel as deep as some modern action games. Once you have spent enough time with the mechanics, you start to understand the rhythm, and that can make some encounters feel predictable. There is also moments where enemy behavior isn't quite as convincing as the rest of the game, and when you are surrounded by a beautifully detailed world with incredible cinematic presentation, those little gameplay weaknesses become more noticeable. Still, when everything comes together, Mafia the Old Country can be extremely satisfying, especially when the game combines shooting, stealth, driving, and cinematic sequence into one mission. Those are the moments where it feels like you are actually playing through a Mafia movie.
Minchia!
Soon enough, you have to strike.
Driving has always been an important part of Mafia, and the Old Country continues that tradition. Obviously, you are not going to be throwing around modern sport cars. These are vehicles from another era. That's exactly what makes them interesting. They feel slower, heavier, more mechanical, and that fits the settings perfectly. You also have a horseback travel, which works nicely with the game in Sicily settings. There is something surprisingly relaxing about traveling through the countryside between missions. Of course, if you are expecting GTA style driving chaos, you won't find it here. Again, Mafia is more interesting in atmosphere than absolute freedom. And I think that's something you need to understand before buying the game. This isn't trying to be the next giant sandbox, it's trying to be Fox crime story. And once you accept that, the game makes a lot of more sense. Visually, Mafia the Old Country is one of the game's biggest achievements. The environments are detailed, the characters' models looks excellent, the lighting creates some fantastic cinematics moments, and the overall presentation does a great job of making Sicily feels authentic. But what really impressed me was the atmosphere. There are quite moments where you're simply walking through an environment, and the game doesn't need to tell you anything. The visuals do the talking. Then you've got the sound design. Gunshots feel powerful, vehicles have character, the environment is constantly making noise around you, and the soundtrack fits to the period extremely well. The voice acting also helps sell the story. The performance gives you the character's personality, and that's important because Mafia lives and dies by its characters. Technically, I found the game to be a strong experience overall, although your experience can vary depending on platform and settings. There are occasional imperfections, but nothing that fundamentally change what the game is trying to achieve. And on PS5, the combination of visual representation, fast loading and dual sense features help make the experience feel suitable and modern.
Help! He's going to...
Let's quickly break down what Mafia Old Country gets right. What I love, the atmosphere. 1900 Sicily is a fantastic setting, and the game made excellent use of it. The story, it feels like a Fox crime drama rather than a giant game trying to do everything. The characters, the relationship between the characters give the story emotional weight. The visuals, there are some genuinely beautiful moments here, and finally the pacing of the overall experience. Yes, some people will find it short, but personally I would rather have a Fox 10 to 15 hour experience and respect my time than a 60-hour game filled with repetitive missions. But there are problems. The biggest ones for me is that the gameplay doesn't always match the quality of the presentation. The story and the atmosphere can feel like a AAA movie, while some gameplay systems feel a little more traditional. The world also doesn't give you the same freedom you'd expect from a true open world game. And if you are someone who wants endless activities and exploration, you might feel like there is not enough here. But none of these problems can completely ruin my experience, and that is important.
Come out here, will you? You're needed.
So, is Mafia Old Country worth buying for me? Yes, but there is a catch. You need to know what you are buying. If you are expecting GTA, this isn't GTA. If you are expecting a massive open world RPG, this isn't that either. But if you want a cinematic crime story with memorable characters and fantastic settings, beautiful visuals and a Fox campaign, the Mafia Old Country is absolutely worth your time. For me, this game proves something important. Bigger doesn't always mean better. Sometimes a game doesn't need 100 hours of content. Sometimes you just need a great story, a great characters, and a world that makes you want to keep playing until the credits roll. And that's exactly what Mafia Old Country gave me. It's not perfect, but it's a game that knows exactly what kind of experience it wants to be. And honestly, I respect that.
To become a man of honor, repeat these words. I swear my loyalty to this family.
I swear my loyalty to this family.
My flesh must burn like this saint if I do not keep my oath.
My flesh must burn like this saint if I do not keep my oath.
Welcome, Enzo.
But now I want to hear from you. Have you played Mafia Old Country? And if you have, what score would you give it to it? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this review and want more honest games reviews without all the unnecessary hype, hit that subscribe button. I'm building the channel around reviews, gameplay and honest opinions about the games that we are actually playing. So if that's your kind of content, I would love to have you here. Thanks you for watching, and I'll see you on the next review.
What are you doing?
What?
Can't you just go behind the bush like everyone else?
I'm not everyone else. And neither are you. So don't act like them. This is ours, boys. The whole valley. All you can see.
All I see is an idiot pissing in the wind. Come on, get in the car.